Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Mary and today is going to be my August Readathon TBRs. So in the month of August, I already posted my regular August TBR. I play a TBR game called Sorry, Jesus My TBR, and that has been up for about a week at the point that I'm filming this, I believe. But on Saturday, there's a readathon starting called Tome Topple, and it's the 12th round of it. It's run by Thoughts on Tomes. I will link her video with the announcement down below. This is going to be the first Tome Topple that I've ever participated in. I'm really, really excited. And I'm also participating in Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte's Summerween, which is the last week of the month. I believe it starts August 24th. So this video is going to have my thoughts on, or my Tome Topple TBR and my Summerween TBR. And again, I will have all of the hosts' information and links to their announcement videos in the description box of this video, so you can go watch them if you are interested. When you're watching this, I believe Tome Topple has already started. The way Tome Topple works, you can double up prompts, but you can only use one book to cover 2 prompts. There are 9 prompts total. A tome is a book that's more than 500 pages. I think that's the only other thing that I need to say before we can get into this. So one of the prompts is the oldest tome on your TBR, and I went to my Goodreads TBR and looked. And the oldest tome on my TBR is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, which I have to read for my August TBR anyways, so that worked out perfectly. It's the only tome on my August TBR, so I was really excited about that. So The Name of the Wind is the first book in a fantasy series. I believe it's supposed to be a trilogy. The 3rd book is not yet out. It was supposed to be released in 2014, then 2016, and then 2020, but I don't know if it's even coming out this year. I don't know where that book is, but it's basically a really powerful wizard named Kvothe. Up to you, I don't know. I know Patrick Rothfuss has a video pronouncing all the names, and I've watched it, and I can't remember. And I can't be bothered, to be really honest with you, but it's about him telling a scribe his story, and he tells it in 3-day splits, or a 3-day split. So the first book is what he tells the scribe on the first day. And that's all I really know about it. It's about him like being just a really great wizard, apparently. And it's supposed to be like a really good book, so I'm really excited to read it. But yes, so I will be reading that for that prompt. And then there's a prompt for an audiobook. And for that, I'm going to be listening to The Dark Forest by Cixin Liu. I looked up how to pronounce that when I read The 3-Body Problem, and I can never remember if I'm doing it right. But this is the second book in a hard science sci-fi series. It's about first contact with aliens, has a little bit of a video game aspect, at least in the first book. And I've heard from Emily Fox with books from Emily Fox. No, from Emily Fox at Books with Emily Fox. That was so hard to say. I don't know why. She read this series, and I think she just finished the last book this past month, and she really loved it. But she said this one, like the first book, is kind of slow to start. So I'm really excited that my library has this available as an audiobook. So I'm going to be listening to this on audio as well as reading it physically. I find it very helpful to be able to read these physically with the audiobooks, just because science is so heavy that sometimes just listening to it, I would be able to zone out, but being able to read it as well, I think will come in very handy. I'm also going to Texas this weekend because I have to take the MPRE, but yes. So this is the second book in a hard science sci-fi series, which I already said. Great. We're off to a splendid start. There's a prompt, a tome that you recently acquired, or the tome that you most recently acquired. And this is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I got this in July from a Savers. I think it was $3.99. Very good deal. I don't really know that much about what this is about. I know it's about a young boy who mysteriously just survives some car accident that kills his mother. And he ends up going to live with a really wealthy family in New York. And he has like an obsession with, I believe, a picture of a goldfinch. And then as an adult, he, I think, works for like an art gallery or something like that. I don't really know what this is about. This is also 767 pages, which makes it the longest tome on my TBR. Kind of. Technically, Game of Thrones is on my TBR, but as I've mentioned, I don't want to be starting more series right now. And I know I'm starting the Kingkiller Chronicle, which is just disastrous. But I want to finish at least The Remembrance of Earth's Past before I really start another series. So I'm not going to read Game of Thrones, and I'm going to pretend like it doesn't exist for the purpose of this Tome Topple TBR. But this does have the most pages, so this will be used for that prompt as well. And then there's the prompt to read a standalone, and for that I'm reading East of Eden by John Steinbeck. And I'm also going to be using this to fulfill the prompt of a genre you don't normally read from, because this is a classic, and I don't usually read classics. I enjoy classics when I do read them, but I haven't read a ton of them. This is one of my boyfriend's favorite books. He actually really likes, it might be The Grapes of Wrath, actually, that's one of his favorites, but this is 601 pages, so it fits a tome, and I'm not going to lie to you, I don't know anything about what East of Eden is about, but I've heard really good things. I really enjoyed Of Mice and Men when I was in high school, so I'm thinking I will really like this as well, and I'm excited to read it. It's a big old chunker. And those are the books that I have, so that fulfills a standalone in a genre I usually don't read. The Goldfinch is going to fulfill recently acquired and the most pages. I'm losing my mind. The Dark Forest is going to fulfill an audiobook, and I'm going to use that also to fulfill any tome. That's one of the prompts, is to just read a tome that's over 500 pages. And for the Oldest Tome TBR, I'm reading The Name of the Wind. So that is 7 prompts that I'm fulfilling. There are 9 prompts total. Sorry, hold on. Good Lord. There are 9 prompts total, and that is, I'm going to be able to fulfill 7 of them. There's one that's read a tome by a Black author, and I don't own any, so that's why I don't have any in this. I also was looking to get one of N.K. Jemisin's books, but like I said, I don't really want to be starting a new series, which, I don't know. I was going to try to get one of, like, the 5th season or something as an ebook or from my library, but it's not available anywhere, and I'm, like, 12th in line on the list. So I probably won't be completing that, which, to be fair, I don't even know if I can read this many books, so I'm glad that that's the case, because that's the book that I would have put off, and I feel like it would have looked bad to be like, I put this great book on my TBR, and I'm not going to read it. But I do want to read that eventually, and it is on my, like, lifetime TBR. I just don't own it, don't plan on buying it right now. I don't want to start another series right now. There's lots of reasons. And then 9, the other prompt that I'm not going to be able to fulfill is to to finish a book that you started in another Tome Topple. I've never participated in Tome Topple before, so therefore I've never started a tome in a Tome Topple. And I don't currently have any books that I have started and not finished. So there's that. Well, I don't have any tomes that I have started and not finished, if that makes sense. Then, for my Summerween TBR. So, like I mentioned, Summerween is going to be the last week of August, and it has 5 prompts. I think you can double up as many books as you want for multiple prompts, so I might do that. And I know Gabby mentioned in her announcement video, and Olivia probably did too, I think, that they basically just want people to read, like, thriller horror books. So even if you just read thriller horrors for the week, you can, like, say that you participated or whatever. So the first prompt is a book with a creepy cover, and for this I'm reading The Library of Mount Char, which you will have a picture up here, hopefully. I think this cover is beautiful, but it also really creeps me out, the way that it's, like, the pages are folded. I don't know. It looks like it's like a burned book with a library in the background, I think is what it's supposed to be. But when I first saw it, I thought that the edges of the burned book were flesh, which is why I decided to put this for my creepy cover, which I feel like once you say that, you can't really unsee it. Anyways, but I don't really know anything about what this book is about, except for it's about, like, a girl, Carolyn, who I think her parents were killed in some accident, and she was taken to live at this library by this guy who's her adopted father, and she has all these adopted siblings. And I think her dad is supposed to be, like, God or the devil or something. Really creepy. This came out in 2016, but I never read it, and it's been on my TBR forever, so I'm really hoping to knock that one out. And I think I'm able to get it from my library. I think I should be able to get it in time. Then, a book that is paranormal/supernatural. For this, I'm reading the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This I'm also planning on getting from my library. It is, how do I even describe it? So this is supposed to be just, like, I don't really know what this is about except for fighting vampires. And I'm also probably going to use that for, like, host recommended book, because Gabby Reads is how I found out about that. There's a couple though that I like, basically any of these books I can use for that prompt. The third prompt is to read a book about a haunted house. We're featuring a haunted house, and for this, I'm honestly torn between reading Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware and reading Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I think I can get both of them as ebooks or audiobooks from my library. So I'm really torn about what to do there. If I read one for that and not for the other, and I can get my hands on both, then I'll probably use one as like a host recommends, because they're both two of like Gabby's recommendations from her video. But I don't really know what I'm reading for that one. And I should mention, I don't know a whole lot about thriller horrors going into things, because I like to go into thrillers and horror books a little bit blind. So this is probably kind of boring for me to just be like, this is a book I'm reading, I don't know what it's about. Stay tuned for the wrap up. And then for a book that I'm going to be reading in the dark, Stephen King and Richard Chizmar? Yeah. Wendy's Button Box. This is the first novella in like a set of novellas, I think. It might just be two, but I also have this from Savers at the same time that I got The Goldfinch, and I'll have that book haul linked somewhere so you can watch it. But this is about a girl, I believe, in Maine. I don't know if Wendy's a girl or a boy. It sounds like a girl name to me, but what do I know? Wendy lives in Maine, and in the 70s, she meets a man wearing a bowler hat, and he's all dressed up and very out of place looking, and he gives her a box and tells her she has to protect the box, and if she opens the box or lets stuff out, then the world could end or her life would be over, something like that. So I'm going to read this instead of reading it fully in the dark, because I wanted to read an ebook in the dark, but also I want to read this, and it's short, so I know I can get through it. I'm probably just going to read it when it's dark outside. You do what you want. They said, like... Do you hear my dogs freaking out? Okay, yes, I'm back, and I've got my pooch, who was very angrily barking. So I think I was just saying that, like, the hosts mentioned that you can, like, pick an ebook that you read in the dark. Don't start barking, please. Or you can listen to an audiobook only when it's dark outside or in the dark. Or read a book by flashlight or whatever. And I think I'm kind of cheating by just saying I'm reading it when it's dark outside. But maybe I'll just read it by lamplight, and that'll be it. I don't know. We'll see. And then, again, for the host recommendation, that's the fifth prompt, I'm just going to use Home Before Dark, Turn of the Key, Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, one of those books, because all of those books, oh, sorry, dude. I heard about all those books through watching either Olivia or Gabby. So that's how I'm going to play this. But yes, that is my TBR for the Tome Topple and for Summerween. Let me know down below if you are participating in either one of these readathons and what you're reading for them. Let me know if you've read any of these books that I've mentioned and how you felt about them. And stay tuned for the wrap-up where I actually tell you what the horror books are about. If you want to see that, you can go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to be notified every time I post, you can click the bell. But that is it from me today, guys. And I will see you on Thursday. Bye!